Hi and welcome to a new episode of Sprue Talk. It's been a while. Great to see you again. And today we have a very special guest, Jamie Hago. Thank you very much, Jamie.
You're very welcome.
Coming down. Long-term friend of the brand, I'd say. So certainly I met you over a decade ago.
Oh, a long time ago.
At Yeovilton. So we're here with Jamie, and then we've got Matt, who's product development manager for Airfix as well, who I'm sure you all know and recognise. So again, thank you very much, Jamie, for coming all this way down to sunny Margate.
Yeah, you're welcome. Bit of a trek, but
to come and talk to us. And as I said, we've known each other for quite a long time, and you know quite a few people here through their time working on the brand. Do you remember when you first?
I do. It was all to do with this here. So I was at the time flying the Lynx out of Yeovilton, and this bloke here, Matt, with some old bloke called Trevor, came down with tape measures. So all in the days before LiDAR. I managed to get myself in on the gig, and it was great fun watching the guys crawling all over this cab with tape measures and taking all these photos and everything. And at the end, I went up to Matt and I said, have you thought of any schemes for the aircraft you're going to do? And he said, well, no, not really. And I said, would you like to do mine? It's got some cool nose art on. And he went, yeah, have you got any pictures? I said, better than that. Here's a CD-ROM. Remember them? That tells you how long ago it was, with all the pictures on. And very excitingly, you managed to do that. And we kind of just kept in touch and at Telfords and events and things like that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Captain prepared.
Yeah, exactly.
So I remember a slightly different story, because this is when the Fleet Airline Museum used to hold 2 model shows.
Oh, the model shows, yeah.
I was working the model show down in that dark little corner. Do you remember outside those classrooms they used to put us? And I can't remember who was there with me. And I remember you rocking up with a folder in your arm saying, cool, you're doing the Lynx. What decal scheme are you doing? Do you want to do mine?
Yeah.
And I was just like, yeah, that's cool.
And you did.
And then obviously you met the guys and had that chat as well. So I always remember, like, I don't know if anyone has ever come up to us at a show before and gone, can you do mine, please? And here's a folder. Here's
all the stuff you're going to need.
Yeah.
Well, I remember my observers got very cross because you made a mistake on the decal sheet and you put my name on both sides. But he was from Australia anyway, so it's a long way to come to to kind of.
Did you only give us photos of your side?
Yeah, I must have done. Yeah,
yeah. Because I remember the guys coming back from the research photography measuring trip, and it still boggles my mind how they measure curved surfaces with a straight stick. Anyway, another episode. And there was sort of some weaponry that had been brought down from Hanover or somewhere like that there wasn't. It was put in the kit, but it wasn't available in Yeovilton. And I remember somehow someone wangled them to bring it down from. I can't remember what that was. Do you remember?
Yeah, so I remember on the trip to Yeovilton, we spent 2 really interesting days on the airbase, being shown all the different marks. We saw the cab that came off HMS Endurance. That was the Penguin on the side. And all the kit was brought out for us. We were treated like royalty. Remember the big sniper rifle? Getting out of the crate. I think it was the tow missile launchers.
Yep.
Yeah, they managed to get hold of a set of them so that we could have a look at.
Wow.
They're really good guys down there.
Yeah.
I think it was the tow that was brought down from.
Yeah.
The Army Air Corps boys. I seem to remember somehow they just bunked it in the back of the van and just went, why do you need it? I was just taking it out for a few hours. Fair enough.
Because I don't think they weren't being used anymore.
No.
Yeah, they must have gone out of service by then.
Mm.
So when was that then? Do you know the year? It must have been
2010, 2011.
Wow, as late as that?
Long time ago.
Yeah.
I remember coming down with Simon, Trevor Snowden, and a guy called Carl who did the design work on the kit, who now runs the Hornby Railway development team.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah, keeping it in the family.
Well, I've still got a picture somewhere of us doing that. I'll have to try and dig it out. And
Yeah,
send
it'd
it
be
you.
good to see.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be cool. So yeah, we go back quite a long
Yeah.
way, which is cool. How many of those Lynx kits have you built?
One.
Wow,
Just the one.
wasn't expecting that.
Yeah, just the one. And it was, as soon as it came out, obviously, I had to do it, and I built it. And I ended up giving it away to my next observer, who is still my, like, busy naval mate. And, I just, because he finished fly, he was what we call a fish head. So he drove boats for a living and then specialised in aviation. So they would dip in and out. And he was finishing flying and probably not going back to it. So I said, well, with a tear in my eye, there you go. And then thought, right, I'm going to rebuild that with all the aftermarket this time. And I just never have.
Never got to it.
No.
Oh my god, that surprises me. And we've never re-released it. We've got Scheme.
Yeah, I know. What's that all about?
maybe the other year, if we knew you were coming down,
Oh,
then
yeah,
we could have quickly re-popped it. I was in our archive room, which we've not taken you in today because it's even colder than everywhere else we've been. I was having a little rummage through there this morning to see if we've got one of the original boxes, and I just couldn't find one.
Oh, no.
So, because of where we've moved around so many times here, so I was like, I'll just put that on my shelf.
Yeah.
So then let's talk about the nose art then.
Yeah.
So that's quite special for helicopters to have nose art, or
Yeah,
it seemed a bit unique at the time.
Well, on so 815 Squadron was the frontline squadron, and when you went on deployment, you were allowed to put nose art on the gull wing door because they were removable and interchangeable, so they could always swap it for a plain one if required. And so I said to the guys on the flight, because you're kind of a little self-contained unit with a flight commander and another aircrew, so one's pilot, one's observer, and then about 8 to 10 engineers. So I said to the guys, I said, right, we're going on this big deployment to the Far East, trip of a lifetime. We really ought to have some nose art. Over to you guys. So one of the guys found a picture of some sort of World War II bomber type nose art. A very good friend of mine, Chris Draper, who I was friends with at IPMS Avon, exceptional artist. I said, could you maybe, for not much money, i.e. no money at all, kind of adapt this nose art for us, and then we can get it printed on a stickered decal and whack it on the Lynx? He went, yeah, absolutely. So we had the nose art, but we didn't have his name. And we were suggesting all these names, and that's not quite right. And we did our final pre-deployment training run ashore, went into Dartmouth, and we ended up in Kingswear. It felt like the WI kind of type club. And one of my engineers had maybe one or two many of the free drinks on offer, and was asking all the little old ladies, what's your name? And they're, oh, Betty. And he's going, nah, rubbish name. Like this, going around all these old ladies, and we couldn't think of a name. And then I said, well, the serial is X-Ray Zulu 731. 7 add 3 add 1 is 11, which is a little bit like Evelyn. And they went, that'll do. So that's how we came up with Evelyn. And then the missus got really cross because I didn't name it after her. And she was like, who's this Evelyn woman? And I'm like, it sounds a bit like 11.
You're not doing very well with women's names on things,
no.
are you?
Oh,
Backstory, but anyway, yeah.
Backstory about a disastrous Moonpig Valentine's Day card a couple of weeks ago, which ended in an epic fail, but classic me. So that's where the name Evelyn came from.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. Couldn't find a cool old lady name, so maths.
And what happened to that door?
That door. So the next crew that took that aircraft changed the name to Rosie, which obviously we were quite cross about. And then we don't know. I guess that they peeled off the nose art because it was a kind of sticker.
Yeah.
So I'd imagine that's probably what happened to it, which is a real shame.
It's a shame you weren't able to go, I'm just going to take this door with me.
Well, it would have been nice.
Interchangeable.
Yeah, exactly. But I've got the original, because it's a watercolour painting, like bigger than the nose art. And that's hanging in my man cave on the wall next to my mug collection and badge collection.
That's cool.
That is cool.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. So some of you might recognise Jamie from YouTube, from photos in modelling magazines and other areas which we won't talk about, the deep dark web. So, so where can people find you? What do you do in the modelling world? And obviously you've got a big aviation background, which we'll come on to in a minute as well. But modelling wise, what are you currently doing? How would people know you?
Right, people probably know me from the Scale Modelling Cafe. That's my YouTube channel, which kind of grew out of. I think quite a few channels started in lockdown. I started doing Facebook Live stuff during lockdown, like a lot of my friends were doing around then. And then I think it was about 3 years ago. It's not been going that long. I just thought, well, I just want to give something a little bit back to the hobby, and I thought I'll start a YouTube channel. Be quite fun, I think. Didn't realise how much work it was going to involve, but I've never gone down the sort of Patreon and buy me a coffee and all that kind of route, because I just want to sort of give something a little bit extra back. So I started that off. So I do project builds on there. I do sort of chats like this. I do a weekly update.
Yep.
Goes out on a Friday. Just talking about my current progress on my current projects and some of the news that's caught my eye, some of the new tools and stuff. Occasionally might do a bespoke video on maybe a kit manufacturer doing a New Year announcement video, that kind of thing, a sort of reaction type video. So all sorts of different stuff, really. And I've been doing magazines for a long time now. So when I think Model Airplane International started, which grew out of Tamiya magazine, there was an advert in Tamiya magazine saying we're looking for contributors for this new magazine. I thought, well, I'll write in, and you never know. And it's like, and I just kind of never looked back, really. So that's been going on for quite some time now. And I've done a couple of books here and there as well. So
I don't know how you fit it all in.
Well, working abroad at the minute with not much else to do at weekends or in the evenings gives me a lot of time.
Yes. Yeah. Now it does.
Now it does, yeah. It was before on the kitchen table with 4 young kids. It was less so.
Yeah. So how did you get into scale modelling? Do you remember your first kit? Who introduced you?
I don't remember my first kit. I remember one of my first kits was an Airfix. Got to say that, haven't I? But it was 72nd scale Harrier GR3 back in the day. Got it for my birthday, ripped all the parts off the sprues and said, Daddy, can you build that for me, please? And he was rather cross because he did modelling. So I always remember he dabbled in it, wasn't a serious modeller, but I remember he had a 32nd scale Mirage, a 24 scale Harrier. I remember those two specifically. And I just loved aeroplanes. You know, there's my Facebook profile picture is me with a little Concorde with a big blonde bob cut as we had in the early 70s, and always liked aeroplanes, and it was kind of the natural extension of that. Most of my friends did it as well, and then you know, thumbprints all over it, and decals would fall off, and you know, put tissue paper in and chuck it out the bedroom window on fire, and all that kind of stuff that we did. And then I kind of got a little bit more serious into it in my sort of middle teens, and then by the time I learnt to drive and go to the pub, it all kind of fell by the wayside, as it kind of...
So many people tell us that story.
Yeah, exactly. But, you know, but by the time I kind of gave up on it, I was airbrushing, but with the cans and, you know, that kind of stuff. And then I joined the Fleet Air Arm and got to a stage in my elementary training where I'd learnt all the checks, learnt all the procedures, was kind of on top of the new stuff, and had a bit of time left in the evening. So I thought, well, I'll, you know, drag out the cans of air, got half a can left and whatever. And it had to be the Airfix Seafire 47. That was the first one I went back to. Painted the Korean stripes the wrong way round. They were black, white, black. So, you know, whatever, white, black, white. And from then on, I've never looked back. I just carried on all the way through.
I mean, it's amazing that you were able to do that whilst in training. I wonder how many people are actually doing that, their hobby during training.
But you needed something.
Yeah.
Because it was so intense. And obviously I went down the fast jet route, which is, you know, even more intense. And I had, the wife gave birth to 2 premature twins, where she went into labour on the morning of my final nav test on Tucano. So I was juggling with all that as well. So there was a lot going on in my life at the time, and it was just a bit of an escape, just a few hours a week. That's all I could kind of spare, and all I wanted to spare. But it was a good kind of switch off that modelling can be, and get absorbed into something away from the daily grind.
Yeah.
So I think it really helped.
There's so many people. We did a white paper last year, the year before, about sort of what hobbies give people, whether it's Airfix plastic modelling or Hornby or Scalextric or what a crochet, whatever, you know, and what they give people. And it was so much about mental health and being able to sort of switch off, but engage in something that sort of can take up quite a lot of brain power. Yeah. But equally, you can just put some music on or do whatever, and then just sit there and sort of spend a couple of hours.
Yeah, exactly.
I must admit, it's tough. I find it tough doing modelling whilst working for a modelling brand, because you're like the last thing you want to think of when you get home. I know you've been doing some in the evenings now, but
yeah, it can feel like a bit of a sort of busman's holiday, but it is nice to, you know, I have to build a lot of test shots and test instructions and things like that, so it can be quite frustrating because I want to sit and get the paints out and start airbrushing and doing a bit of weathering, and all you can do is build grey test mouldings because that's what the job is. But even just putting the bits together is very therapeutic, and you still get a really nice sense of satisfaction. You know, if you sat and concentrated on something and you've got something at the end of it that you can be really happy with.
Yeah.
Can you though? So I always imagine Mark Kermode can't just go to the cinema and watch a film. He's sat there going, oh, the lighting and the plot line and all this kind of stuff. Can you build a model and not think about, oh, I wouldn't have designed it that way, or?
I think you can. I mean, I do a lot of running and cycling, but I'm never going to ride a bike in the Tour de France.
No.
And at the same time, I see, you know, guys like yourself and a lot of the builds you see online or in magazines, and they're at such an amazingly high level. And I know that I'm never going to get to that level, but I can still enjoy the process and I can still build a model that I'm happy with.
Yeah.
So I guess everyone's got different things they want out of the hobby.
Yeah.
But for me, it's just a bit of escapism, and the bonus is that you've got something cool to put on the shelf. At the end
exactly.
Of it, so.
I'm not a great painter, but I like the construction side of it. So that's why I always end up going down the Target route, because I can sort of just sit there, build it, take it out in the garden, rattle can it green, put some decals on, and then go finished. but I've enjoyed the process. I mean, I started a ferret a long time ago and I still haven't finished it. But I started some of the toon tanks, got really into toon tanks to the point where I hadn't even finished the first one yet. I'd bought another 10. And I'm like, I've fallen into the trap. So I've started the second, still haven't finished the first, and I got a stockpile. I've got a stash of them already. I'm like,
a stash.
Oh no,
he's got a stash.
No one starts the hobby thinking they're going to build up a stash.
Yeah.
You know, it's a
And
consequence of it. Yeah. So a couple of questions from what you've just said. How are the twins now?
They are almost, in a couple of weeks, 27.
Crazy.
Mad, yeah.
And the morning of birth, did you still go and do your test?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, I was. So we used to have. So back in the day, when it was a lot busier than it is these days, a huge lecture theatre called Cheshire Hall, I think, or something at Linton, packed, literally standing room only. Big Met brief, operations brief, and then you'd all bomb burst to all your different squadrons. And I was met by the duty student at the door of the squadron. He said, "Oh, your wife rang. Oh, what was the message?" And I'm thinking, "Oh, can you get some milk on the way home or something like that?" "Oh, yeah, she's gone into labour." I was like, "What?" And a mate was cycling past, so I commandeered the bike, legged it back, and was expecting to find this woman panting and doing labour things on the living room floor. Couldn't find her in the house anywhere. Searched the house, and then eventually found her in the bath, having a bath. I said, I got a message you're in labour, and I'm really cross because this is a stressful day, and the weather was amazing, which, you know, not normally is. I'm thinking, thank you. I got a message you're in labour. She went, oh, I am. I'm having contractions every 3 minutes or so. And because it's premature and it's a surprise, I haven't washed my hair. So I thought I'd wash my hair first before going in, get an ambulance to the... Oh, I will never understand ladies and how their brain works. But we ended up, it was obviously a bit of an epic and, you know, a very long story. But we ended up getting bused to Manchester because they didn't have any incubators in York. And then we ended up having the babies in Manchester and then coming back to York. And I sat on the ground. They said, you're not mentally ready to go back to flying. And I said, I absolutely am, because I only had like a few weeks left on the course. The babies are in hospital. There's nothing you look at them through the glass kind of thing. Let's get the course finished, and then the babies will come home, and then we can all go to Valley. And it was like, no. So I had to sit there for a month. Then the babies came home, and then they said I could go back flying. And now I'm worried that the missus is at home with 2 premature babies with the heating on full blast because you had to. Yeah, but it all worked out.
Yeah. I was just like, I wonder if you just still went, yeah, it's all right, love. I just need to do this flying, though. And then where are you going to be? I'll be there in a minute.
Well, there was a bit of spare room, flight safety, need a good night's sleep. Yeah. So there was a bit of that going through. And in fact, the last couple of weeks of my fast jet training, I did move back into the mess. Because it was the crucial last 2 weeks. That's when the course really ramps up. And, you know, I just said, I just need to move into the mess for a couple of weeks. And she understood. She's been very supportive.
Yeah. So, flying career then. Firstly, you mentioned your interest, passion for aviation. Do you think that kicked off with modelling, or do you think you already had that and that's why you got into modelling?
I don't know. I think maybe it's all kind of wrapped up into one package. One didn't lead from the other. I remember seeing a gannet flying when I was tiny. Mum and Dad took me to the Yeovilton Air Show.
What is that? That doesn't look like it should be flying.
Yeah, exactly. You know, but when you're sort of 5 or 6 and you see something like that flying over, you can't help but just be blown away by it. And then, you know, the hooks go in, don't they? And so ever since that age, I never ever dreamed that I'd ever be where I am in
naval aviator.
A naval aviator. So I remember as an air cadet sitting in the back of VC-10s and, you know, TriStars, watching these, well, here we go, Victors and F4s, showing the age again. But F3s were there, and, you know, waving as a 13-year-old, you know, and then occasionally getting a wave back, never imagining that I'd be sat over there waving back at the little hands waving in the tanker. So I do feel immensely privileged that, you know, I was born with the ability to do it, because a lot of my friends never got selected or fell by the wayside in training. So every day when I'm doing the job, I'm grateful. Never take it for granted. But that and the modelling have just always been alongside each other.
So then the decision to join the Navy Fleet Air on, just born from that as well.
Well, I'd applied to both the Crabs. Sorry, Royal Air Force.
I was just about to ask why the Navy, not.
So applied to both at the same time. I was always want to be a fighter pilot, so join the Air Force. That was always the thing. And I went to Biggin Hill when I was 16 for a flying scholarship, managed to get that, which was cool. And then options for change happened in the early 90s, and they just turned all the recruiting taps off. So that's why I went to uni, because I knew I could get into the University Air Squadron and fly that way, tread water at uni, which is why I chose geography, because it's just colouring in, basically. Sorry to all the geography teachers out there.
Contour lines, colour in between. Yeah.
Exactly, but it is, and you know. God, I'm not making any friends here. About
rocks.
Yeah, exactly. Rocks and stones. So I thought I'd do that because it's relatively painless, as opposed to like aeronautical engineering or something. And then hopefully they'll be recruiting when I graduate, which is exactly what happened. So went to the RF Careers Office, started off that process. And then before I went for selection, I thought I better just apply for the Fleet Air on so I can say in my interview oh, if you don't get in, what are you going to do? Oh, well, I'm looking at the fleet air arms as well, kind of thing. But actually, the Navy selection process is very, very similar in the things that you do with your aptitude test and your interview and all the other bits and bobs. But the attitude was completely different. The attitude was, we want all of you to join the Navy, because you're interested in us and we want you. Unfortunately, we don't have enough places, so we have to do the selection thing. We really, really hope you're successful. Please bear with us. And to the point where you even had a chief petty officer that would mentor you through the 3-day process.
So really trying to get everyone
really
through.
He'd ask, they'll ask you, why do you want to join the Navy? What are you going to say? Oh, well, the uniform's much better. Probably don't say that. Probably say something like this.
I like itchy jumpers.
Yeah, exactly. So they made a real effort. And then I got the impression I got on well with because I had the captain of the Admiralty Interview Board was the president of my thing. So 4-ring naval captain, but he was a pilot. And that was also the difference, is your branch recruited you. Whereas the Air Force, it's, you've got 2 randoms from any branch. And I was so impressed by that I felt that they wanted to recruit me. So when the Air Force said, we'll have you, and the Navy said, we'll have you, I thought it'd be a really difficult decision, but it wasn't. It was really easy.
Oh, wow. So you offered both?
Yeah, I turned down the Air Force, yeah. Having spent my entire life up to that point, single target trap focused, turned it all down. And I was recruited into the Navy during selection. And when I turned the Air Force down, they were like, oh, okay.
Plenty more.
And I was like, well, you've just proved my point.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's why I ended up in the Navy.
That's cool.
But ironically, ended up spending most of my time flying Air Force aeroplanes.
I was just about to ask, I was reading something this morning, watching some videos and stuff, and you flew Tornadoes.
Yeah, on exchange. So I was, when I finished my fast jet training, the Sea Harrier entry standard was really high. And I passed all the training, but I didn't quite meet the grade. I was borderline, and they actually took quite a long time to make the decision, yes or no. But during that time, they made the decision and went to the Air Force and said, you want this guy? And then we'll have him after his Tornado tour. And they went, yeah, okay. So that's why I ended up on the F3, 25 Squadron at Leeming, which was cool. But didn't get that much flying, actually. Only got just over 300 hours in 3 years, which is not a lot.
Oh, wow.
So didn't get my single seat recommend after that. So then went and flew the Hawk with the Navy at Yeovilton, which was best job I will ever have. Fact. And at the end of that, my name was on for the next Sea Harrier course, and then they made the decision to bin off the Sea Harrier. And it was all very political. So I was going to go and instruct on the Hawk at Valley, and then the Commodore of recruiting said, no, you need a frontline Navy type if you want a career. I said, I don't want a career, I want to fly. And he said, well, that's not the attitude. So it's helicopters for you. And I nearly left at that stage. I nearly went airlines. But so glad I stayed in, because I had so much fun flying that thing. It was brilliant. So I did that for 5 years. And then was instructing ever since, pretty much.
What did you... I love helicopters. I mean, aircraft, great, but fixed wing stuff, but something different about helicopters. Did you prefer one over the other, or...?
Did I prefer it? I'd say, and I'm going to sound like a bit of a diplomatic answer, I like both equally. There were different aspects of different things. Obviously, speed, G, shooting things, great fun. On the helicopter side, I was in the lucky position, because I'd already done 2 fast jet tours, that I had the choice of whatever I wanted to fly, and I chose the Lynx because it's highly manoeuvrable. And it's very varied role. It's a maritime attack helicopter. So I still all had that shooting stuff, but also all the secondary roles, which is all pure pilot handling, hovering on the ship and all that kind of stuff, winching and doing all that stuff was fantastic fun. And a 2-hour transit is a 2-hour transit. Doesn't matter how fast you're going, it's still a 2-hour transit.
Did you ever land a jet on an aircraft carrier?
No. sadly never got the opportunity. I flew the Harrier a couple of times when I was on the Hawk.
Oh, wow.
My boss was dual qualified in the Hawk and the Harrier, so I got about 4 or 5 trips. In fact, my first ever trip in a fast jet was in a Harrier at Wittering on summer camp with the UAS before I got jettisoned for flying all the time and not doing my geography degree. Also, I couldn't colour inside the lines, so the university complained. So yeah, managed to fly that sort of, like I say, 3, 4, 5 times, whatever it was, but never on the boat. Went off the ramp, which was cool. Did all the hovery, nozzly. It was all great fun, but never got to the boat in it. Yeah. So almost 1,000 deck landings, but all rotary.
Yeah, which I imagine is still, well, you see the videos and of guys, girls landing on ships in helicopters on a perfect calm day, and it's bobbing about a little bit, obviously still moving forwards at whatever not, but then nighttime, calm, nighttime storm, you know, that just mind boggles.
Well, I did my deck landing qualification on a what we call a stumpy 42, so a batch 2 42, which the 42s had a notoriously small flight deck. You could only get a Lynx on it, nothing else. And the batch 2, rather than having a square flight deck, it was curved in at the back, so it felt even smaller. And it was about a sea state 4 when we did the night qualification in the rain. So yeah, that concentrated the minds, and how the observer instructors did it, you know, when we went kind of solo with a staff guy, they didn't pay them enough.
Because I always imagine, maybe this is just really naive of me, but you know, landing at an airport on a runway, in terrible weather. You know how high the runway is. You know how high you are, and we should do. So it can be very instrument focused, to just sort of watching those, making sure you're coming down the right. But you can't. Obviously, you're looking at instruments, landing a helicopter to a degree, but landing a helicopter on a moving ship, like that's not telling you whether that ship has just come up 2 meters or down or whatever else, because you're not measuring your distance, I guess.
Yeah, well, it's all done visually, really. So yes, you could use instruments to get into what we used to call the port weight. So you come along the port side of the flight deck, and then you just hover there and assess the deck. How is it moving? Hopefully the officer of the watch has given you a decent wind. So we used to call it a red 30 wind, so 30 degree from the port side, because otherwise you get a load of turbulence from the superstructure. And if you had to reject and overshoot, then you're into the wind, which is crucial in a helicopter. So you come along the port side, you sit there for a moment or two, assess the deck movement, then you'd move across, and then it was all in the timing of putting it down. So the deck doesn't go up and down and side to side, it kind of does a sort of this kind of motion. So you're hovering using your references, your left and right.
Hang a door,
literally a white stripe painted down the middle.
Got you.
And then the bum line, we used to call it, which does what it says on the tin. You'd line up your bum with the line on the deck for your forward and back. And you just sit there in the hover, and then you go now. And you just get it down. And in the Lynx, we had the harpoon.
Yeah, I was just about to ask.
The hook underneath, which you press the button here underneath the collective, and a grid, and the harpoon would grab onto the grid. You had negative pitch, which meant you'd actually put thrust down. You could do that, but the engineers didn't like it because it put a lot of stress through it. And we used to paint a bullseye for the middle ring, and if you got the hook through there, the lads would have to buy you a crate of beer. But if you missed the grid, you'd completely, which did happen.
Where does a harpoon end up?
It would just bounce off the deck and go straight back up again.
Oh wow!
And the indicator light, you wouldn't feel the clunk, and you'd look and you'd see that you're slight, and you, oh no, and then all the lads would be going, hey, then you're like, oh no. So,
did you ever bullseye it?
Yeah, on my last deployment, I got 5 bullseyes on the deployment, on the last one. And I'm going to sound really smug now, but I did a bit of a faux pas right at the end, where I tried to lift up the entire back end of the ship when I tried to take off, because I forgot to disconnect. And what normally happened is the weak link would shear, and you go ping, you go barreling up. But as I lifted up, because you normally wait for a thumb up from your M1, who's your airframes and engines guy. And we were just so in the groove. I didn't look for the thumb and went, yeah, here we go. And then I looked at my M1 was not giving me a thumbs up. He was giving me like this, and there's some other rude signs. And I never actually snapped the weak link. I bent it.
Oh, wow.
Which meant in the South China Sea, in about 40 degrees of heat and 99% humidity, he was under there for about 2 hours drilling out the pin with me going up with a can of fizzy drink going, do you want a drink?
I'm really sorry.
Not now, boss. Sorry. Oh, God, I felt awful. So I undid all my smugness in one embarrassing moment.
A lot of crates of beer after that, I imagine.
Yeah,
Sort of
100%.
pulling out the collective going, it's a bit heavy, lads, isn't it? We must have a lot of weight on her today.
We call it human factors brackets aircrew now, is the official term.
Yeah.
They had some other words for it back then.
So what's the sort of coolest, most fun aircraft? What would, if someone could turn around to you today and say, of all the things you've ever flown, what would you fly next?
Hawk T1. Without question, hesitation. Hawk T1. It is a little sports car. It's fast, manoeuvrable. There's nothing in it. Very, very basic instrumentation. It's, power to weight ratio. There's a reason why they used it for Red Air for so long. Very manoeuvrable and just great fun to fly.
Red arrows.
No, Red Air as in playing the bad guys.
Fine.
Yeah, sorry. And that was my job, was doing maritime Red Air, so hitting the ships a lot, training the fighter controllers, fighting against DACT, against the Sea Harriers quite often.
Playing the baddie.
Playing the bad guy.
That sounds fun.
It was fun. Did that, like I said, that's why it would be the best job ever, because it was a very small unit at Yeovilton. We had 2 aeroplanes, 3 permanent staff, and then a bunch of reservists would come in, and that was my job, was to manage all that lot as the ops guy. And if we didn't have any tasking and it was nice low-level weather, we'd go rorting around Wales on practice attack profiles, and if it was nice upstairs, we'd go and do dogfighting in the overhead, and no secondary duties other than to write the program and do a bit of op stuff. It was just brilliant. But the aeroplane was just fabulous fun.
Yeah, I can imagine.
It was brilliant.
Yeah,
fun.
was it the scene from Battle of Britain where that guy just constantly goes up flying? He's like, "What are you testing today?"
Oh, yeah. Undercarriage check today, sir?
Yeah,
exactly.
Weather's nice. It's going to go flying.
Yeah. Oh, it's such a fun aeroplane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was the worst? What would you never want to get back into?
Grob tutor.
Yeah.
Again, without hesitation. So without going into the whole political defence procurement blah, I did my elementary training on the Firefly, which flew the Bulldog in University Air Squadron, and then flew the Firefly as a student at Barton Heath, which was great. Very powerful. You could do aerobatics to a base height. It was very manoeuvrable. It was fabulous. We loved it as students. And then they decided to get the Grob tutor in, which has an awful roll rate. We felt it was underpowered. Few little handling things in there as well, and just nowhere near as fun as the Firefly. Yeah. So of all the ones on the list, it's that.
Yeah. Fair play.
Sorry, Rob. But it's kind of like there's a whole generation of people coming through. Got my chipmunk there that my generation, we all did our university air experience flying in that as little air cadets. Then it was the Bulldog, and now it's the Grob tutor for all the guys coming. Well, it's been in for a long time now.
Yeah. When we released that chipmunk, you designed that, didn't you? Yeah. The amount of people that sort of come out of the woodwork and said, "I've flown that." It was great. I've never known a kit release to be like that.
Yeah, wow.
Before. So we've brought that back in the range in that scheme because we released the second one in the Irish Air Corps scheme on the box front, isn't it? I think. And then that one's sort of obsolete now, so we're just running the stock down. We're like, well, we can't not have this aircraft in our range, so let's just keep on running this now with all the different air training schemes and stuff in it. So, and then what's on your wish list to fly? Like, as pipe dreamy as that would be. We were talking about Hurricanes and Spitfires and things earlier. Like, is it
Yeah.
is it another fast jet? Would you want to go up in a F-35? Would you want to? Is it Spitfire? Or
No, it's Spitfire for me. Definitely Spitfire. We were talking earlier about sadly dearly departed friend of mine who used to fly all the kit out to Duxford and used to rib me mercilessly on a Monday morning, comparing weekends of me mowing the lawn and wiping snotty noses, and he was rorting around in Corsairs and Spitfires and P40s and all that kind of stuff. So, it would be the Spitfire, because all Warbird pilots say the Spitfire is the nicest one they've flown. So I'm going to have to do it, because now there's so many two-seaters around that I'm definitely going to do that.
Maybe when you retire.
Well, hopefully even before, if she'll let me, then, because it's not cheap to go for, say, 20 minutes in one of those. So, it's got to be.
As a side hustle when you retire, you could end up being a...
Well, if there's any Spitfire owners out there who need a pilot, then...
there you go.
Exactly.
yeah, during Ramadan, I'm free.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, for the 8 weeks a year I'm in the UK, then...
Yeah, get me up. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, exactly.
So modelling.
Yeah.
You brought some kits along with you today. The 3 at the front there.
Mm.
And I went and found the links this morning. Why those 3?
I was looking at my cabinet last night thinking what to bring of my Airfix selection. And I kind of had to be a little bit ruthless, because there's so many in there that I would love to have brought down and shown you. But I thought I'd bring the Chipmunk, because that is my favourite model in my cabinet. Believe it or not, kudos to the designer, whoever that bloke was. Brilliantly designed, and quite challenging to weather it authentically, because weathering's my thing. And you have to kind of have a close look at the weathering on that, but it to keep it subtle, but also realistic, was a real challenge. And the finish, it's not matte, it's not gloss, it's that sort of satin, and to bed the decals in on that satin finish without it looking too matte was a real challenge. So love that model. The JP next to it is, whenever that's the first time I built that model, and I built that in the last couple of years, so it's quite recent. And again, it's just having seen so many models of that online, I was like, one day I must build that JP, because it looks brilliant. And then just went, right, I'm going to do it. Bought it, built it, and
sent us an email, I seem to remember, after you built that.
I did, because
I love this.
I just such a little incongruous little model, but I got so much enjoyment from it. And I sort of tweaked it here and there. There's a little bit of photo etch in there, and refined the canopy a bit and refined the panel lines a bit, because it is an older tooling. So to bring it up to the level of today's refinement with a few extra aftermarket bits and bobs here and there, nothing too much. So, and again, the finish, a real challenging paint finish in that scheme, with the contours around the nose to try and get it all matched up. Was
Did you ever fly in a JP?
I haven't flown in a JP, but a friend of mine who's currently in the Red Arrows owns one, and I built his JP for him in 48. Sadly, not this one, the bigger one, the 48th one from another manufacturer. And he was going to take me up in it, but then he got the Red Arrows. He hasn't had the time. I went to Saudi and aligning diary, so I will have a go in it at some point. And looking forward to it.
That kit does seem to have a bit of a cult following.
Yeah.
So it seems like every year at Telford they have the Airfix competitions that we get involved with the judging. And it seems every year there's a couple of those entered in the competition at Telford, which is fantastic to see.
Exactly.
And it's great to see little kits like that holding their own against a whole table of fantastically built models.
Yeah, exactly. And like I said, it's just... For me, it just stands out whenever you see it, especially in that colour scheme. And then the last one is is obviously your latest 2-seat Spitfire, and I brought that along because it's just an example of where Airfix is in their sort of moulding now. You know, who would have thought a few years ago you'd bring out a 48 scale aeroplane that's riveted and to such a high standard? It's just beautiful. When that was announced, I went, hey, if they're going to do a Spitfire, why are they doing that one?
I seem to remember your reaction
Yeah,
video.
that's... sorry. That's just weird. Why would they do that? When you could have done the Mark 9, for example. Obviously, we don't know you've done that as well. And I still need to build that this year. But then it kind of... The idea kind of grew on me. I thought, actually, I think that's quite cool. And then I got the kit and looked at it and went, I've got to build this straight away. I think that just sat in the box looks amazing. And again, it's had a few sort of photo etch bits of detail added to it, which, to be honest, I don't think it needs, because it's so well detailed straight from the box. So I just that's the latest Airfix kit I built, and it really did knock the socks off. I thought it was lovely, so I thought I'd bring that one along as well.
Because Matt, our intention was always the TR.9 in 48 scale, not the single-seater Mark 9, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's right. We wanted to get a 2-seater out before any of our competitors did. While we were sort of mapping out the sort of development of that, we sort of thought, well, are there enough common parts in a 2-seater that we could add a little bit more tooling and get the equivalent single-seater out of it, which you can. We can do the 9E. But the project was always to do the 2-seater, and the 9E was the bonus in that project.
Yeah. Which at first I thought that was odd, because surely it's a single-seater first and the 2-seater second. So when the guys were telling me that, and as part of the dev process, I was like, okay, that does make sense. You know, if you can't get the single-seater Mark 9E, then fair enough. Yeah. But I remember one of the guys scanned 2-seater up at Biggin Hill.
Yeah.
And I think that was for the Corgi 72nd one.
Yes.
The dust collector one. And this is at the same time that one of the guys was finishing off the CAD work on the 24 scale Mark 9.
Yes.
Which was a COVID project.
Right, yeah.
So I don't think anyone actually went out to see a Mark 9, because we've got so much information on Spitfires and so many past photos and everything else, and obviously couldn't go out. So I made a perfect COVID project, and there was a few others as well. And I remember the guys coming back from the research trip, and the following day they went, should we overlay the scan data then on the 24 scale Spit CAD and just see if it's right?
Yeah.
Like, it's too late. Actually, it's already it largely had gone to tooling.
Wow.
And let's just see if it's right. I don't know if we want to do this. Should we just not do this? Because if we find out, what do we do? So and it was amazing. It was absolutely amazing to see how close it was. And we tweaked it, didn't we? We had to tweak the propellers. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
So the sort of what I'm going to call the root part of the propeller underneath the nose cone, the shape hadn't got the shape right. And I don't know how that happened, but it was so obvious from the scan data. We did a bit of sort of further research, because once you can really hone into a certain area, and was like, it's wrong. So, but luckily enough, it was at a stage where we could still tweak it. We could correct the tooling.
It wasn't too late.
So it was we never released it with that, but it was so close,
Wow.
So that scan data and just sort of revisiting some of those parts was just massively saved. Ultimately, as soon as you put the nose cone on, you wouldn't have seen it anyway, but that's not the point. So that really saved us. So I was going to ask you, what was the last Airfix kit? So that was it?
That was it. That was the last one. Yeah. Next one is a Spitfire as well. Airfix Spitfire.
The which one?
The Mark 8.
Oh, the biggie. Yes.
Which is not going to be a Mark 8. Which is going to end up a Mark 14. with a resin conversion, the 3D printed conversion.
And is that Bouchon models? Or
No, laminar flow design. So
Okay.
one-man band out in Belgium. He's actually moving house, so he's unfortunately nothing's available at the minute. But he very kindly sent me a review sample because I've done his conversions in 48th and 32nd, and he said really like what I'd done on the Scale Modelling Cafe YouTube channel. And said,
link below.
Exactly. And all that YouTube stuff. And he sent me the review sample and said, and I just went, oh, it looks so cool in 24 scale. A massive thing. It's not going to fit in my IKEA display cabinet. It's going to have to sit on top. But yeah, so that's going to be the next
That's
Airfix
cool.
kit. Yeah.
We'll start to. When do you think you start publishing videos on that so we can keep an eye on it?
Yeah, so that's going to be the sort of the summer big project. So I've got a few little projects to get out of the way first, and then it's gonna be that.
Yeah.
So one of the really cool things I like about your modelling is you're not afraid to try things that are a bit different. So talking about conversions, remember you've done some really cool sort of post-apocalyptic conversions. Where did they come from?
Yeah,
tell us a bit about those.
I love my heavy metal. I've got my Tool t-shirt on underneath, and there's a band called Five Finger Death Punch out of America, and they did.
What a name.
Oh no, it's brilliant, isn't it? And they did I think it was House of the Rising Sun. They did a cover of that.
Yeah.
And the video was like post-apocalyptic Mad Max type stuff going on. And as I had that in the background, I noticed Kitty Hawk had just released a 32nd scale Bronco. And I thought, well, that aeroplane would look really cool as a Mad Max type thing. So I put some big R2800 radials on it, scratch built sort of gunner's station in the back cockpit facing backwards with a 50 cal minigun in the back, and just kind of redid the undercarriage completely from a Humvee. So just kind of let the imagination go wild, and it was called Death Punch was the name of the aeroplane. And one of my favourite models in the cabinet. And from there it was just like a spark, and then I kind of made it up as I went along. And then you re-released your Defiant in 48 scale, and I thought, oh yeah, I'd love to build that. And then I thought
it's already black, so there.
But that would be cool as a post-apocalyptic. And I put a BMW 801 from FW190 with a scratch built and chopped the front off, scratch built an engine mount, put that on. Again, a rear gunner's station, scratch built all that, had tip tanks on it, guns in the wings, stuff hanging off underneath. That was natural metal, that one, with some graffiti on the side. I just literally made it up as I went along, adding bits to it. I've done a Wyvern with a Hellcat nose on the front, done that as well. So every now and again, it comes out of nowhere, and I just have to do it there and then.
So really not purist then?
Not at all. Completely, and again, that's what it's all about, isn't it? Because I don't do models for my channel. I put on the channel what I want to do and what I want to model. So it's definitely that way round.
Yeah.
And if it hits me to do a post-apocalyptic thing at some point in the future, and that'll be on the channel. I did an Antonov 2 post-apocalyptic thing. Even had a toilet in it that my mate 3D printed. With an air conditioner on the side and two Tempest engines and an R2800 on the nose, so tri-engine thing. Side gunners as well. So did all that. That's on the channel because I just saw it advertised. It was about £9, I think. It was the trumpeter kit, 48 or Hobby Boss 48 kit in a sale, like £9-10. And I thought, I'll do a derelict one of them. And then I went, I know what I can do with that.
That's cool.
And then off I went down a rabbit hole.
I don't think I knew that. I think I saw something maybe, but I didn't realise that whole side of things. So that's cool. I mean, we will say that modelling is what you make it, as cliche as that is. But and you mentioned earlier, when you go to model shows and how how well these things are built. And if you're only just getting into the hobby, or you've been in it for a long time and you just can't get to that level, you can be quite turned off from the hobby, because you're just like, I can never get to that level, and why am I bothering? Why am I trying? Okay, you've just missed the point of a lot of the hobby, which is just you time. And you know, it's what you make it to be. So if you're happy with spending a couple of hours gluing some wings on or doing whatever and never quite get into painting, or eventually you do, then that's ticked quite a few boxes.
Yeah,
so
exactly. And then you don't have to do like a real aeroplane like these are. I did a Tempest as a Sea Tempest. So, you know, what if the Sea Fury, they couldn't get it to work and they needed a bit of a lash up for the Korean War. So I got the Airfix Sea Fury hook, stuck that on the bottom of the rudder, and then painted it up like a Sea Fury, put a rockets on it and a napalm tank in Navy Sea Fury markings. So, you know, you can have fun with stuff. That's on the channel as well.
Yeah.
So you can have fun with stuff like that. You don't have to do, you know, one of the bot schemes or even aftermarket. Just have a bit of fun with stuff.
Yeah. I think that's great, and really good to sort of remind people that you can, because I'm sure there's people out there that just build, they just go off piste all the time.
Yeah.
But just make sure you're enjoying it.
Yeah.
100%.
Tell for the competition area, it's amazing. When you were saying earlier, Matt, about the 72nd scale stuff, and I think for the last couple of years, certainly the Airfix trophy and the Darrell Burge trophies, there have been 72nd scale aircraft. I'm sure they have been.
Yep.
The TSR2 last year was with Piers won the Darrell Burge trophy. Like amazingly built, but such a sort of fine, finessed, finished model.
But at the same time, that was a model. It was a conversion of showing that TSR2 in a sort of semi-derelict state after it had been sort of started to be scrapped, which is like it was great to use that base kit with an extra bit of creativity to make it into something that told the story.
But it was still real, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That was the cool thing.
Yeah.
Piers managed to get hold of some photos of it being stripped, all the sort of various panels off, and that's his diorama build is incredible. It's on our website. Go and find a blog post and go and find that. It's quite cool. But no, that's awesome. So we asked you what's next on the bench.
Yeah.
So anything? What's after that? Do you ever get involved in vehicles, or is it just aircraft? That feels like that's your thing.
Yeah, it's just airplanes really. I did go through a stage, I don't know, 10 years ago now, something like that, where I dabbled in armour for a couple of years, got really into that, and that really helped my aircraft modelling actually, with the weathering side of it. Saw a DVD by Meg Jimenez and went, oh, that's cool. I wonder if I can learn to do that, and started off, literally with the video on pause, right, do this now kind of thing, until I learn about the materials and the effect I was trying to achieve. And then once after doing that for a few years, thought, I wonder if I can adapt some of these armour weathering techniques to aeroplanes. Obviously got to be a bit more sympathetic and that kind of, worked and evolved and things like that. So jumping across genres can help your modelling, definitely. Yeah. But it's something I've got, 3 or 4 armour kits in the stash that every now and again I open the cupboard and went, it'd be cool to do them, but I've got all these to do first. So I close the door again, and maybe one day I'll get round to doing 1 or 2.
Yeah. So you work with Mig now, don't you?
Yeah, so Mig published one of my books back in the day.
Just
well, yeah. And I am working on another one. So just need to finish up the Airfix Lancaster.
Yeah, we sent you a few of those.
Yeah. So that'll be going into that. But yeah, so looking forward to seeing that. No idea when that's going to come out. It won't be soon, but I've still got a few other things to do for that one. But looking forward to seeing that come out in due course.
Favourite modelling technique?
Cool, good one. Well, weathering's my thing. So I'm going to say oil dot weathering. which is one of the techniques I adapted from Mig's armour videos, which is after your satin coat, because it needs to grip on a bit, is I dampen the surface with enamel thinner and then just tiny dots of oil paint, and then I blend it in. I don't streak it back because aeroplanes spend 95% of their time sat on the ground, not flying. So that oil dot weathering technique is there to sort of fade the paint and add grime rather than streaking effects. I'm working with the colours, so sympathetic with the underlying camouflage colour. For example, you don't want to put, yellow over blue because it will turn green. So you've got to be quite careful, things like that. So yellow over green is really good for fading.
Yeah.
And then darker colours in the recesses and things like that to build up the grime, and then just blending it in. And it just adds that, it takes a nice clean model into a faded, slightly grimy model that gives it that scale effect.
Yeah. In my head, I was thinking, these are sort of properly grimy models, but they're not. They're so subtly done, aren't they?
Yeah.
Which is what the beauty
so that's that. The Spitfire's got that technique over it, and for me, if you're looking for realism, you shouldn't see a model and go, I know how he's done that, kind of thing. You should go, I wonder how he's done that, and that's kind of with that oil dot weathering. It's that real subtle filter over the top that just gives it the depth, I think, and the scale effect.
Yeah, no, that's cool. The people should go and check your channel out to learn a bit about that. Then,
yeah, I feature that regularly in normally episode 3, which is the painting and weathering station. Yeah.
We were having a chat in the office, and Nathan, who's behind the camera, he's broke his arm. Bless him, silly boy. Just fell over in the middle of the field on his own. So it's a hilarious video. We won't put it at the end of this, but we was talking about what do people do whilst modelling. So are they listening to something? Are they watching something in the background? Obviously, it's very difficult to model and then watch a film, but it can be sort of in the background. Do you listen to anything? Are you listening to Five Finger Death Punch or whatever they're called? Or
mainly, yeah, that and Tool. So mainly music, if I'm honest, because if I've got a podcast on, I want to listen to it, and then all of a sudden I found I'm beavering away, and I thought I've just missed the last 20 minutes of a really interesting podcast. So I tend to just listen to music. I will because I add rivets to almost every model. Clearly that I didn't have to, so thank you. If I have to add rivets to a model, so I've literally got one fuselage half to do on the Lancaster, and then it's all riveted. I will, I know, it's painful. But it's so, at the time I'm going, this is not worth it. And at the end, it's like, no, I'm glad that's over, it's so worth it. It's one of those. I will sit there in the living room with the coffee table in front of me, and I'll have telly on, and I can just absorb myself. And it's almost like I'm watching the telly, and all of a sudden the riveting's finished. Kind of, that's the way round.
Yeah.
I do that, yeah.
We'll have to set up a Jamie Hago playlist now, from what we were talking about the other day. So wait, that might even be out before the video. So make sure we've got a few things that
music
we want to do.
model on by,
Yeah, Jamie Hago.
Yeah, no, it's really interesting that you can get into that sort of flow state while you're doing modelling.
Yeah.
So you're not even really thinking about it consciously, but you're just completely in the moment, which is it's quite interesting that you can get like that with modelling, which you think would be quite something you have to think about.
But it's kind of things like sanding seams. It's necessary. It's a little bit boring, but again, it's like driving. It can be a bit when you're sat on the motorway. I recall from this morning. All of a sudden you've gone 30 miles and you've gone, well, I've got no recollection of that. And it's things, some certain modelling tasks you absolutely need to concentrate on. If you're doing some detailed painting or something, but if you're just sanding seams, you can just switch off and all of a sudden the seam is sanded and you go, oh, brilliant, done.
It's scary when you're driving though. And you go,
and sanding seams.
No, hold the wheel, love.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I used to commute a lot, and it was about an hour and a half or so. And at first, I was just listening to music all the time, and then you're like, "Oh my god, this journey just feels like forever." And then you start listening to talk radio and stuff like that, and you're like, Where did that go?"
Yeah.
And you go, "That was dangerous." You know,
Yes.
it's just, oh my god. So I guess the modelling side is very similar.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah. Favorite tool.
Favorite tool?
Or what would you recommend to someone starting out or even midway through their
Well, I'd say
modelling career?
my favourite tool is the airbrush.
Yeah.
Because no matter how good you can be with a brush, you will never beat an airbrush for freehand camouflage and Luftwaffe modelling and that kind of thing. So and these days you can get some really good airbrushes for not much money. Definitely. So but it's one of those tools where it takes practice and a lot of practice. And my advice would be, if you want to get into airbrushing, is buy the best airbrush you can afford, but you don't have to spend a lot of money. Just look at maybe some of the Chinese brands, which would be great to get you started. Try and save up for a compressor, and then just have a go and practice. And that's all it is practice with, and it's one of those things where you can't really watch a video on it for your paint ratios when you're thinning paint, because every paint is different,
And your pressures and
the pressures is different, your airbrush is different, and the climatic conditions are different. So some people ask me in the comments on some of my videos, "Oh, what was your PSI you did, and what was your thinning ratio?" I said, "Oh, I generally can't tell you. I've got a Mac valve on mine where you can adjust the air pressure, so it doesn't matter what it says on the compressor. It's different when it comes out the airbrush, and every paint is different. When even some of the colours within a range can be different. So
the pigments and stuff.
yeah, exactly. And some of the effects, maybe if you're doing a freehand camo, you want a slightly thinner mix, and the distance is, and it's all about it's a tool that you need to get comfortable with, and maybe not, get your 1/24 scale ME109 as your first airbrushing project. Maybe get some old kits that are obsolete on your shelf, right? Can primer over the top to just obliterate it and practice on that. As a bit of a test mule.
Yeah.
And you will get better, so persevere.
I think that's good advice. I acquired a compressor many moons ago, and then I bought a 30 quid airbrush from Amazon. I think one of the YouTube guys had sort of said that they bought it off Amazon. They were reviewing it, and they were like, "This is amazing." I was like, "Well, if he knows his stuff, then I'll go and buy that." And
I've got one of those.
You got one of those.
They work really well.
And I was just like, right. So I makeshift spray booth in the garage and some paper, and just sort of sat there and sort of tried to do the whole ratio thing, and then very quickly worked out that it just went out the window, and you just get a feel for it, don't you? So,
I mean, it's a good starter, like say 50-50. Start with that, and then and see what effect you get. Oh, right, I need more thinner, I need more air pressure, less air pressure. And just play with it.
Yeah. You airbrush as well, don't you?
Yeah, a little bit. I can't do any airbrushing indoors, so I kind of I have a period in the spring and then at the end of the summer, autumn, where the garage is perfect temperature. But no, I enjoy a bit of airbrushing, and I think the last model I airbrushed was the little Airfix Sopwith Pup, the vintage classic reissue, which I airbrushed that, and that was the first time I did the oil paint, the dot filter technique, and that really brought it to life. Just getting those little subtle variations in colour really sort of added a lot to it's a little £8 kit from the 1970s, and it really brought it to life. And it's really interesting using some of those modern techniques on old models. And actually, the end result it is as good as anything else you'd buy. So it's really good.
Right. Your favourite 2026 kit release?
Well, there's something on the table there, isn't there?
Well, we asked you. To be fair, we asked you the question earlier, so we could compare.
Yeah, exactly. So no surprises. Well, I will say that the last year's range and this year's range, I think, have been just brilliant. The Jaguar last year, the Phantom this year, absolutely brilliant, and I'm really looking forward to doing the Phantom. Obviously, is Fleet Air on, clearly. But I think most people would say that. So I thought I'll go for one of the other ones, and I picked this one out because, I like my Luftwaffe stuff. The weathering potential, as I said, weathering's my thing, and the potential for weathering that, especially the winter whitewash, I think is brilliant. I think it's a subject that's long overdue for a modern 72nd scale tooling, and I know that's just a test shot, but the surface detail in the corrugation, how it's been captured in the moulding, and that's just a test shot, and there's no filler on it at all. So it's shaping up to be a really exciting release. So yeah, that one.
Thank you. Look forward to certainly getting out. It blew my mind seeing the corrugation. Because I knew the guys were working on it. I saw it on the screen, and then when we saw the first plastic, I was like, "Oh my god, I can't help but just scratch it." They've done an amazing job in sort of the finesse of that corrugation. It's much finer on the wingtips and coarser closer in. So really looking forward to that. I imagine your oil technique and all the corrugation of that is going to be quite interesting.
Well, it's going to be a challenge because for an oil wash, so kind of the first stage of the weathering process for me is the actual paint, fading the paint, and I tend to exaggerate it a little bit because I know the varnishes and the filters and the washes are going to sort of blend everything together. So on something like that with the corrugations, the sludge wash that I do, where I mix up the oil colour, slather the whole thing and then polish it off so it's left in all the recessed detail. You're not going to be able to do that on that. So I kind of a heavy filter. So a filter is like a really, really thin wash that just kind of tints the paint. Something like that on there is the way to go, I reckon. And then just playing with the concentrations of it, so it's a little bit heavier in other areas, sort of around the engines where you'd expect to be a bit more grimy in the nose and the landing gear, where the dirt is going to get into those corrugations. But it's going to have to be sort of subtle because you don't want, like I say, too much contrast, especially on a white, primarily a white aeroplane. It's going to be a real challenge, and look forward to building it when it comes out.
Yeah. Where our researcher and illustrator Clint has been doing the schemes for it, he's been finding all these amazing period photographs of them operating on the Eastern Front. And the conditions were just absolutely appalling. The airstrips were just mud. It was appalling weather, just snowstorms all the time. Lots of opportunities for weathering on those.
Yeah, and I tend to, with multi-engined aeroplanes, I tend to feather a prop, do a bit of battle damage on one side, and then oil streaks and stuff. So I will no doubt be doing that on that one as well.
Maybe for the next book.
Yeah, exactly. So, and looking at that, can't believe that's a test shot. I mean, it's brilliant.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
No, cool.
Good vibes.
Well, thank you, Jamie, for coming down.
Well, thank you very much for inviting me.
We finally got you here.
Yeah, it's only been about 15 years.
Yeah.
The diaries have aligned.
No, thank you for coming down and spending the time and some of your holiday down in sunny Margate.
Oh, you're very welcome. Well, the wife's off seeing my mother-in-law, so I had the day for her. So
mother-in-law, Margate.
Yeah, exactly.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you, Matt, for joining us as well, and thank you for watching and listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the YouTube channel, and we hope to see you again soon. Thanks for now.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.
See ya.